the thing that bothered me is I learned that a friend of a friend, or like someone that I know that's like a friend of a lot of people that I really like, or like a lot of my friends, is interested in Alex. And I think Alex probably likes her too, just like from me observing how he's behaving and how like she's behaving. And I really like her, and I actually like wanted to be her friend, and I totally like feel like I'm trying to be her friend more and like seeing her more, because she's just been like showing up to things that I've been going to just because we have like mutual friends. And so I think like I didn't realize that she liked him, so then I kind of like made the situation awkward by like being there when the two of them were around. And then I was also like being really nosy, because like I feel like that's just how I am, and the way that I get close to people is just by like, I don't know, just like talking about real shit or like asking each other real questions. And I think I was a little bit too curious about like her thoughts on Alex and his friends, because I think they make a lot of bad impressions on a lot of other people because of how maybe like passive aggressive they are. Not in the sense that they like do super passive aggressive things, but I think they'll like be nice to your face but then like mean behind your back, and so you never really know what they're thinking. This is from my own personal experience, but as well as like what others tell me. But I think some of them can be like a little bit like mean to be mean, instead of like they say something that's super judgmental, or like they judge others like volleyball skills and they're just being honest. And like I do this all the time too, like I just say really judgmental things that like can seem really harsh without the intent of like trying to really be mean, but I think like they are low-key sometimes like just saying things to be mean that are kind of really mean. I feel like I didn't realize that she was like that good of friends with them. Like I thought she wasn't, so then I was just trying to be her friend by like just like talking about how there's so many things that like Alex did that really rubbed me the wrong way, such as like being mean, like shitting on other people for how they were like bad at volleyball, even though like they're not. And I think he should just be encouraging. And there was one time where, I don't know if I've vlogged about this before, where these people were being like really intense on the court and being like, yeah, like let's go, like come on, we got it, or like just being super intense and like sweaty in a way. And like that's literally how Alex is at his level of play. And then I was like, okay, Loki, like why are you being harsh when like this is them playing at this intensity at the highest level of play they can play? Isn't this the same in regards to you? And then his response was kind of like, oh well, they're not really good and don't, you know, like deserve the right to like act this way. And then I'm like, wait, that's so mean, because like you had to have like gotten better somehow and had to have been at their point at some point and like progressed, right? And he was like, no, because like my dad taught me the fundamentals, so I went from 0 to 100. Or I was like, oh, so you think you went from 0 to 100? And then he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, whatever. I don't know, just saying like things like pretty and like mean comments about like my friend's boyfriend when they met. And he's like a little quirky and a little weird, but I wouldn't ever be like, I don't like them, or I think he's too weird to be my friend. Like maybe I would make those judgments, yeah, and I've definitely done that in the past, but like I feel like I always try to give people a second chance, or sorry, not a second chance because they didn't do anything wrong, but like I'm just always like, oh, they might surprise me, or like why don't I just like give them a chance to try to be nice and like see, you know, if we could be friends. Because yeah, it's true, like they might surprise you and your first impression might be wrong. I don't know, those are just like a few examples. I think obviously like I still dated Alex because I thought he was like a good person overall. I guess, I don't know, I think I like started to date him before I really saw the true him, so ultimately like maybe he just kind of is like a bad person, but I think, I don't know, he's like capable of being a better person. And I think what I was thinking about in the car was that like I have this maybe like bad trait where I rely too much on external validation and like positive reinforcement and like approvingness, what's the word, like I just need other people's approval in a way. And so I think that kind of like, maybe the word is like manifested into this trait of mine where it's like when there's someone who's like mysterious or like a little bit down seemingly, or a little bit angrier seeming, I want to be the person that like fixes them or like makes them happy or like helps them see like the value to their life or the value that they bring to others. I don't know if that makes sense, but like it's like I want to be the one that like cracks the case or like opens them up or like gets them to be happy because they just are seemingly so composed, like too composed in a way where they're like a little bit angry or a little bit brooding. I don't know if that makes sense, but Alex is so that like vibe. I think that's just been like my draw to people and why I've been so attracted, what did I say? Why I've been attracted to like old angry grandpa men, which is so true if you like actually know me and like know my exes or like know me in real life or whatever. And I think I was just like maybe feeling a little bit envious that maybe she could be the one that opens him up and gets him to like share his real feelings and like, I don't know, get him to talk to her or help him learn to be accepting of who he is and all his insecurities or whatever. I don't know. Maybe like she will be that person for him and that'll be good for him and I'll just have to like move forward and deal with that and maybe he'll like become a better person if they do start to date. Yeah, I guess like I just feel bad because I'm like envious of that. But what's silly to me is like last year at this volleyball tournament at Seaside, like this is when I also felt like he was interested in me and like wanted, I guess, to pursue me and like put his best foot forward and like pay a lot of attention to me when I was playing and like give me tips and like he like got me coffee and did all these nice things that I really can for sure say he stopped doing after like we started to date. And I'm just like, I don't know, I just like think she's a good person and I don't want the same thing to happen to her. And I think she feels the same way. Like the reason she likes him is because he's just paying attention to her. I don't know, maybe he'll keep it up and he'll actually like become a better person and maybe, yeah, like it'll work out for the both of them. I'm just like bummed that I couldn't have been the one that like helped him reach his full potential, I guess, is the way I would put it. Ultimately, like, I do think that they're actually more compatible, like very compatible if I were to try to like look at things, I guess, from what I know. She's much more easygoing than I am. I'm like super not chill. She's also like, I don't know, into a lot of the same things. Like she will play volleyball all the time if she could, and he's the same way. And she also likes gaming and like doing more chill things, whereas I'm like, I don't know, needing to always be doing something. So I think honestly they're like super compatible. So I think honestly they should go for it if they like each other and they make each other happy. I just don't want her to make the same mistake I did, but she's really young and like that's her mistake to make. I think she'll figure it out and people are on her side to help her. I think she'll be fine. And I think if she is a good person for Alex, then good for him. It's just not my time yet, you know? Like I'm jealous that he will potentially find someone that will help him through his own insecurities. And eventually I just have to find someone that can help me through mine. But for now, I kind of really like being alone. And I'm not really like looking for anything. And I think everyone's on their own timeline. And I think that's okay. And so I just have to move forward. In the future, I will be mindful of when they spend time together. And I will not intrude like I did last time. Or it was just yesterday. Like it was just a weird situation in general. So I'll be more mindful next time. But yeah, I just like didn't know that she was interested in him. And he was interested in her. So it's totally fine. And I think the last thing I'll say is, I think when we met, I've said this before in one of my like vlogs, but I think I was a super insecure version of myself, like super quiet. I had no confidence when it came to volleyball, and that was like in the whole setting that Alex and I met. And I think it totally makes sense why he was so into me, was because I was super quiet, super like letting him kind of like steer the relationship, if that makes sense. Like I was just like following his lead, and I think that's what he needs to do, or that's what he prefers, which is totally fine. But yeah, I think, like, I was still myself when I met him. Like, I think I was super loud with my friends and super, like, not, I wouldn't say I'm, like, quirky necessarily, but I would, like, do weird, not normal things, and he saw that, and he was totally fine with it, and he probably just, like, turned a blind eye, or, like, saw it through rose-tinted glasses, or didn't think much of it, and didn't realize, like, how much of my personality is actually being not normal, and you could say weird, and maybe a little bit annoying, and, like, outgoing and loud and super, like, the opposite. I just said her name. But yeah, this other girl is really different than me, and I think that's why it makes sense. Now I'm like, why did he even date me? I don't get it. But I think it's okay, and I think, like, I'm so glad that he was in my life and we crossed paths, and yeah, I don't know. I think I'm definitely moving forward and things are good, and I think this will actually help me move on, because there are times where, like, I want to message him to try to be friends, and I think I don't want to force it. I think if that happens, that happens. But yeah, I think I feel fine now, even though that whole car ride back was kind of miserable, because I was just in my head about it, and my back hurts so bad. I think I should do some stretches before I go to bed. I think I've also done a good job of kind of, like, controlling my impulses when it comes to Alex, and, like, saying all these things that I potentially wanted to do, and then I'll give myself, like, a week to think if I still want to do it, and if I don't anymore, then I'm just not going to. And I think that's really true. Like, I just was a little bit maybe angry a little bit before, and I was like, dang, I just want to say all these things and have the last word, but I don't even think that's true anymore. Like, all I was really gonna say was that I think he's super insecure, and I don't think he hides it that much with his friends, at least. Like, I think people know that he's insecure about, I guess, his height and his volleyball skills sometimes. But I think the main thing with him is, I think he chooses to be the victim a lot, and he chooses to just have this attitude where, like, he got dealt a bad hand, and he's just, you know, like, the universe is out to get him, and everyone's against him, and, like, everyone has it easier, and yeah, it just, like, deters him so much, I think, from, like, living life and moving forward, because all he ever says is, like, I'm just waiting to die, and, like, I'm just killing time, and blah, 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 and I'm like, there's so much more to life than just, like, doing what's, I don't know, like, the least worst thing, you know? Like, there's so many things out there that you can, like, explore and, like, learn about and, like, experience, and you have, like, the privilege of, like, living in this healthy body, you know, that, like, a lot of people don't even have, that you're literally taking for granted. And I think he maybe has gotten better and doesn't do that as much anymore, but I still think he's played victim a lot and just, like, chooses to sulk and brood. I don't know if that's a word, but I hope he doesn't, and I hope he realizes that there's so much going for him, and there's so much, like, life to be lived, and maybe she will help him see that. I don't know. But regardless, I still want to be her friend, and if I end up being her friend, we'll see what happens, but I'm not going to try to force it, because she's super quiet and I'm super loud, and I know that I can go off really strong. So yeah, I'll just not force it and see what happens. But yeah, I'm feeling good. I feel like I've rambled for a lot, but I'm going to make a video and post it in its entirety, because that's what I want to do, and I'm going to be myself. Okay, oh my god, I need to go to bed and sleep and maybe edit some vlogs right now, because I really want to, and I haven't done it all weekend. Okay, I'm gonna go. Bye, good night.